Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today on our call, we have back the CEO, Doug Dyment from Gatekeeper Systems. Gatekeeper trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol GSI, and it also trades on the OTC under GKPRF. The company is currently trading at 31 cents with about 91 million shares outstanding, or about a $28 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Trevor. Doug, always good to have you back. You're a veteran now. We've done a number of these with you. But we caught you right after you've announced a pretty spectacular Q2. So great to have you here. Great to sort of get an update. Before we jump into any sort of update, why don't we remind everybody a little bit about what Gatekeeper does?
Sure. Well, first of all, appreciate being with you, you and Trevor, and always happy to talk and answer any questions. So for the people that don't know Gatekeeper, Gatekeeper is in the safety and security business. We provide total end-to-end solutions on school buses and transit buses. Our tagline is protecting people in transit. Our business is really about putting total end-to-end solutions, which includes cameras, mobile data recorders, integrated GPS and vehicle sensors on these buses and trains. And we collect the data and we provide our customers with a free software application that allows us to really allows our customers to manage bits and pieces of the incidents with a basic feature set. And then as the market evolves into wireless, we come in with our cloud-based software applications to monetize the data in a more robust way. And I'll talk a little bit about that, as we get on in the interview. But some of the trends that were happening that customers may not be aware of are the move towards wireless, where you get connectivity to the devices. Our customers want to get more involved with streaming live video. They want to be able to access the devices from their desktop as opposed to running out to the vehicles and pulling hard drives and those sorts of things. So really, Gatekeeper is in the business of protecting kids on school buses and in around school buses, and making sure that passengers in transit buses are safe. And as we move forward, we're really getting into AI applications where our systems get more intelligent out at the edge, where we can make decisions with AI and really help us to monetize data in some of these smart city applications that our devices operated in.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Now let's talk with this last quarter, the Q2. Revenues jumped over 200% this last quarter. You've been at this for quite a while, lots of new products and services over that time frame. But what happened this quarter to drive that kind of growth?
Well, it's been a couple of things. So first of all, the platform as a service business model that you quite frankly just touched on, in the sense that we've been at this for a while. It's starting to catch hold. If you think about in a budget environment in government, you've only got one budget cycle per year. So any type of introduction of new products, it can take time to get some momentum. And we're starting to see that momentum because we've been around for a while. And so part of that momentum as it relates to the revenue, it's really a combination of us adding more system solutions to each vehicle, which, by the way, that reduces our cost of our cost to go get the revenue, because we've already invested in the customer. Mm-hmm. So we've already spent the money to get the customer, and now we're layering on more revenue, such as 360 system, more cameras per bus because of high back seats on these vehicles, and wireless infrastructure. The stop arm cameras are that's a growing area as well. And the result really in the K-12 market has been an average revenue increase from roughly around $1,500 to $2,000, say, several years ago, to now in some cases we're upwards of around $8,000 a bus, 8,000 US. So that's in the K-12 side of things. Then if you look at our business model in transit, it's a little bit more robust from the revenue as well, just because of the nature of the system and the systems that we provide there. So you'll see our revenue, per bus in the transit market upwards of 8,000 to sometimes 12,000 a bus. And then on the train side, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this as we move forward here. But on the train side, our systems could range from anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 US a system. So that type of layering on of revenue it's really what's driving these numbers in the second quarter. So in case in point, we announced really I felt like it was a material event where we announced earlier in the year that we had landed a project with Southeast Pennsylvania Transit Authority for about $4 million. And then 60 days later, we delivered on it. We delivered on it before the second quarter ended. So we felt like we needed to news release that just to allow all investors at the same time to be able to try to determine what the second quarter was going to look like. And so that certainly contributed to the second quarter, but those types of projects just seem to be more common now in our sales funnel. Whereas in the past, several years ago, a large project might be $500,000. Well, now our sales funnel has a lot of projects that are over $1 million, and some are in the tens of millions. So they take time to land, but when they hit, you could have these spikes, quarter to quarter. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a little bit on the transit market and a little bit on the pass platform. But the K-12 market has been pretty robust for us, and it's showing some nice growth as well. So it's really a combination of those two. Those two markets are starting to deliver the numbers that we had expected them to deliver.
Mm-hmm. Now, Doug, you sort of touched on something I was going to ask you. This is sort of a land and expand type of approach. You've got some existing customers that you're actually getting more revenue from because you're adding more services. Try to give us a sense, how much more of that do you have, and how much sort of greenfield opportunities do you have as well? What's it look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're just getting started. Mm-hmm. Like, this is just my view is that the income that we're seeing on the in this second quarter, yes, there was a significant project coming out of SEPTA, of course, right? But the reality is that this business has a long way to go, in the sense that we've probably got less than 10% of our customer base is delivering into that past business model that's upwards of around $8,000 a bus. We've still got a lot of customers that we've planted seeds in that we can still add pieces of that past platform to increase that revenue. We've got over 3,500 customers in the school bus market, for goodness sake, so they don't all buy at the same time, of course, but there's a lot of opportunity there in a couple of areas. So I'll talk about the K-12 market as you asked the question about kind of greenfield. So there's some paradigm shift that is starting to happen. We've got a new fresh palette of buses coming. There's over 390,000 buses in the US, school buses I'm talking about, and so that new palette of buses really opens up the pass platform to really deliver some nice revenue for us. So there's that's going on. Then you've got all of the existing buses are a lot of them are upgrading their technology. Mm-hmm. So they may not upgrade to our full pass platform at the moment. They may start with an internal camera system, or they may start with a 360 system, or maybe a stop arm camera system, but they're starting with something. They're starting with the bits and pieces of revenue. And then in some cases, we're finding it's a full pull, right? It's a full, kind of $8,000 a bus, so, mm-hmm. So there's a few factors that are driving, this opportunity in K-12 for us. I think new companies that might be trying to come into the market at the moment, they're going to have a tough time because we've been there for for many years, and we've already built that foundation of customers that know the Gatekeeper brand and are opting into our model, right? So that's a little bit on the K-12 market. On the transit market, quite frankly, we're relatively new, to that business. Yes, we've got a tier 1 account, and an important one is SEPTA, but we're also working on several other tier 1 accounts. We've introduced our automated lane infraction product. That's a new market. It's going to take time to develop. There's only been a couple of projects that have been awarded, but we see that as an important piece to the smart city play for us, and we're moving forward, as aggressively as we can, to land some of those projects, or at least get that brand exposed out there. Part of that strategy has been to separate the K-12 market from the transit market. I just put a new VP of sales in place for the K-12, and allowing our current VP of sales to only focus on transit. So some of the results in the transit market that we're seeing already is conversations with 4 out of the 6 largest train manufacturers in the world, largely due because of the relationship that we have with SEPTA. We're spec'd on the trains on the LRV deal. Alstom was the second largest train manufacturer in the world. They were awarded the contract. So our engineering team is now working with their engineering team to design a system that fits with their architecture. And that's exciting because, we're upwards, I guess, around maybe $30,000 or $40,000 a train there. And we really see Alstom as being a potential, global distributor for us as we integrate with their train architecture, rather than just giving them a specific recorder that might have been spec. So we're doing an investment in that, in that manufacturer's architecture, and that's an example of how we're using a tier 1 account at SEPTA or in transit to really springboard, into a new area for us that's going to support, lots of customers and projects that are anywhere from 50 to, say, I'll call it 4 million. That's typically what we deal with in the school bus market, with some projects that are starting at 5 million and going up into the 30 million, so that is, it's a real nice business because we've got these different types of layers of revenue that, and we're starting to see evidence of what can happen when some of these projects land. So the second quarter is an example of that. And you can see how it trickles down to the bottom line too, Paul, because our operations are set up where we can handle a $4 million contract in just a couple of months without increasing our operating costs, too much, right? So you can see that in the net income statement in the second quarter.
Now, I mean, how repeatable is sort of this level of business right now? I imagine obviously your goal is to continue to grow, but you sort of mentioned the big deal that was in the quarter, but give us a sense of what you think the sort of the level of business should look like over the next year.
Yeah. So well, let's talk about the next 6 months, because we're still in this fiscal, so we are well on the way to delivering what our budget is for this month. And of course, me, I don't give guidance, but we are, how do I say this? I'm confident that we're going to hit those budget numbers and maybe even knock it out of the park, depending on the timing of landing of some of the projects we're working on, so, and that budget is certainly higher than it was last year by a substantial margin, so we're so as far as, how repeatable is the business going to be? Well, why don't I talk a little bit more about how we are adding some of these revenue streams to really try to level out the quarters, because when you're a project, we're not just a project-based company, but as we've moved forward, some of the projects have gotten sizable, so we have no control over the timing of them landing. And when they do, that's what causes these spikes in the income statement every quarter. So what I'm trying to do is we're trying to level that off by adding on more revenue per vehicle, like I said, and that's starting to show. But even more importantly, we want to monetize that data. Right? We want to monetize the data that we're collecting. So that's where the SaaS model comes in, where the SaaS for us is more of a piece of PaaS, if you will. So you got software as a service that's a piece of our platform as a service business model. And that typically the way that works is it could be a service contract, such as what we have with Southeast Pennsylvania Transit Authority, where we're taking care of their video systems, or it could be our hosting service where we're starting to charge for hosting our software, and we're moving. And by the way, we're moving that to an Amazon cloud, where we got so many projects now that it's really time to move from the Gatekeeper offices and our servers more to a facility that can handle the growth for us, right? So we're in the process of doing that. So that is, I see that helping to give us a more of a recurring revenue model that's a little bit more predictable than the projects are from a quarter-to-quarter basis. And we're starting to see that already. And frankly, from a numbers perspective, a particular project, we might have 15% of it being recurring revenue, and then 85% of it being the system solution at the moment. That doesn't necessarily mean that isn't going to grow. That's just where we are at today with our first offering on the recurring revenue model, which is the hosted services. I see us, the way that we get to becoming a data company, which is my goal, is we get to a point where we can manage evidence. Right? Once we're connected to those devices, there's a whole bunch of services that we can offer surrounding around evidence management, incident management, those sorts of things. And I really believe that's going to happen, because the customers that we have, their IT departments are so saturated with work that they don't necessarily have the time to or the wherewithal to deal with terabytes of data, trying to find incidents and those sorts of things. So that's where I see the future. But we had to get there by planting these mobile data collectors and getting them out there as part of an overall system solution. And currently, as of the second quarter, we're upwards of around 47,000 mobile data collectors out. That not all of them are part of a wireless infrastructure yet, because the school districts haven't moved to a full wireless infrastructure, but they're all wirelessly ready. So as soon as the school districts move to wireless, and we're seeing more and more of that now, then we can connect to the devices. Once we connect, we've got them, right? We're in. We're now able to offer these services as we move forward. So it's probably I've never been really, I mean, we talked before, right? I've never been more excited about the business. It's great to have this second quarter, but this is just a small signal of what the company's capable of, right? And as we move forward, the services that we're offering, they come in at significantly higher margin than the equipment does, right? And that's where we want to see the lift coming in our currency, in our stock price, is from these higher margin software services offerings.
Yeah, earlier you touched on the fact that at some point a good portion of your revenue is going to be sort of this fee per month per bus type of approach. Yeah. So like SaaS, however we want to call it, but it could give us a sense of where do you think that number could go? I mean, is it in the tens of dollars per month, the thousands of dollars per month? Where do you envision the sort of platform going?
Well, we've got in the neighborhood at the moment, 4 to 6. I say 4 to 6 because a couple of our offerings are at the early stages, and but I could see us moving, anywhere from $15 to $50 a bus per month. It all depends on what type of service package the customers buy into. And I want to be careful what I say here, because some of the offerings that we're talking about, we are still working with some of our key customers to build out the revenue model. Nobody's offering some of the things that I want to offer, and I want to keep that kind of under the tent at the moment. But I could see us upwards of $50 a bus per month in the future. But at the moment, we're anywhere from $15 to $35 a bus per month. So if you just did some fast math and looked at our 47,000 mobile data collectors that we currently have in the market, if we got half of those, or even 40% of them, on a $20 a bus per month, it's pretty easy to see how you get to $8 to $10 million in recurring revenue a year, with that type of math, right? So, and with what's in our sales funnel, we're averaging about 5,000 mobile data collectors, new mobile data collectors every year. So that 47,000 that's currently there is increasing every year. So that's enthusiastic, or that's exciting. I could see that number increasing even more, just given some of the things that we're doing, right, with AI and how strong the brand is getting, So and again, we're just getting into the transit market, right? So we're not I wouldn't consider us a big player in that market. However, people need to pay attention, because we may not be big from a volume and number of customers standpoint, like we are in the K-12 market yet, but some of the biggest customers are doing business with us. And when that happens, that catches the attention of the other tier ones and the tier twos. And so relationships with Alstom and the likes of Alstom, I just think that our engineering capability that we've got in the company, and our ability to work with engineering teams of Alstom, I'm just using them as an example because they just recently won SEPTA. That just bodes well for building a new distribution system that has enormous potential for us on top of a business that I'm very excited about.
Now, you touched on so many of these things, but where do you see the trends going? Like what sort of innovations are customers looking for? Where do you see, sort of new opportunities?
I see the kind of the bigger long-term opportunity with Gatekeeper being in turning these mobile city assets into intelligence assets. I look at them now as they're just dumb mobile assets. Maybe they're picking up trash, or they're picking up kids, or they're picking up people, and they're delivering them from point A to point B, right? I see us being a company that develops these AI solutions that are unique to us, and we're in the process of applying for patent on part of our system now, or our system now. And so AI is going to be a driver, no doubt about that. And we've got the engineering capability to develop unique algorithms that make our systems smarter, in my opinion, than others in the market. So that's one driver. The other is the move to wireless networks and the ability to get large bits of data across those networks at lower cost than ever before. So that's a second. The third is the IT infrastructure of our customers. It's just not as robust to take on. It's not robust enough to take on this enormous amount of data that our mobile data collectors are collecting across the entire fleet. So that one piece of it right there, that's an important weakness in our customer base. That is an opportunity for Gatekeeper to layer on those services. That's a big one right there. So that's where we're starting with our current customer base. And in the K-12 side of things, we'll certainly push it out into transit as well. But in the future, I see us in all city applications, because once you get into the county level, as you well know, if you're in a county, even if you've got a school bus application and you've got relationships at the county level, everybody talks. So if you got something good, you're in the county, you've got those contracts, and now you get introduced to the transit, the trains, the city vehicles. And by the way, some of our customers, they're installing our systems on the city vehicles. We just announced an AI drive cam system that is It's got AI built into it. It's got future to be able to do a whole bunch of different things related to seatbelt detection. Anything that a driver is doing that could be dangerous, we're going to be able to pick that off from AI and then create a clip of video and push it back to a hosted service, and then be able to provide those hosted services as far as recurring revenue for our customers. That's new, and it's just getting started. So there's plenty of opportunity for us to to grow our business. I also see a big opportunity in facial recognition. I know there's privacy issues right now surrounding around facial recognition, but I see facial recognition one day replacing all of these RFID cards. And so we've got that on our product roadmap as well. But there's all of these things that we're doing on the R&D side. We've got a product roadmap. We've got we've certainly got some some tasks in front of us that are not easy to accomplish, but we're sticking to our knitting. We're not necessarily stretching the company too thin outside of our core markets at the moment, but we've got a plan that as we grow, we can expand, right? And our platform is capable of doing that. You look at our TTM right now. Our TTM is almost 30 million. So that is you can see, you've been around us for quite some time, so you can see the growth. It's coming from quarter to quarter basis.
For sure. Even though it was a good quarter, I'm sure you're still facing challenges. What sort of challenges are you facing as a business?
Well, the inventory is still a challenge. We have to commit to inventory and get it onto the balance sheet. I've got a financial structure in place to get that done from our offshore manufacturing right into North America and get Canadian bank support. So we're not looking at doing any kind of financing, at the moment. I'm confident with our current financial structure that we can get our company to the next level of revenue, which hopefully is in the neighborhood of 30-50 million before we really do anything. It all depends on whether what happens with the market as well, right? The tech market is not in a great place right now, but that is not affecting our ability to grow. So I'm comfortable there. But the inventory is still a challenge. Finding good people, we're always looking for good people, and we're making some changes, in our business where we are. There always seems to be something going on that is either a challenge or it's an opportunity. So on the finance side, I mean, if you asked me this question maybe 4 years ago when you and I first met, 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess I would have said the financing is a big challenge, right? But at the moment, I find one of the biggest challenges, I guess, from my perspective on a day-to-day is just staying laser focused, because there's so many things that we could be doing, with our platforms. But we're hell bent here on just getting this company to that next layer of revenue, and then see how the capital markets react to it, and then in parallel to that next level of top line revenue, also getting our recurring revenue to that next level. And that's an important piece, because as I said earlier, we got to level off those lumpy quarters by adding in the recurring revenue, which is more predictable.
Doug, are there any M&A opportunities that catch your eye?
There are. Yes, of course there are. I don't have any that I'm aggressively pursuing, but that's something that we're that is on the burner. At the moment, but again, I'm not aggressively pursuing it, only because we've just got so much going on on the organic model right now, right? That if we were going to take something on, that it would have to be similar to that asset purchase I made, where we've taken about a $300,000 asset purchase and turned it into over 30 million. Those are the types of things I look for. And by the way, that's going to grow from there, So I think once we get by this year and be able to maybe get a little bit of a breather, I'll be able to have a closer look at that. But at the moment, our entire operation is just completely focused on what we've got in front of us, because what we've got in front of us is enough to take us to the levels that I want to get to.
What do you think as investors, what do you think we should pay the most attention to going forward? Like, is it orders? Is it RFPs? Is it revenue? I mean, what do you think makes the most sense to pay the close attention to? I
wouldn't really pay, well, one of the things that I wouldn't pay too much attention to, now this is tough for an investor, is the quarter to quarter, right? I mean, I know as a public company, we get monitors a quarter to quarter, but this is really, and again, you and I have talked about this, but this is really a company that you need to look at from a year to year basis, right? Like what is actually happening in, in the business. And so there's a lot of excitement in and around automated lane enforcement for good reason, but that market is going to take time to build, because legislation has to be passed in every state, and then typically there's ordinance that have to be passed at the city level. So that just takes time. But we're going to be there, so that's something to keep an eye on. I'll be honest, I don't know how many news releases I'm going to put out as it relates to our recurring revenue side of our business and our contracts. I can tell you that is definitely getting more robust. And I know investors want to hear more about the details of the business, but quite frankly, I've got to keep our competitors guessing, and we have to stay somewhat stealth, and so I'm likely not going to be talking too much about some of these services that we've got, because those services that we offer, that adds stickiness to the customer, but they're unique to Gatekeeper. And we gotta keep that somewhat under the tent. So while if it drives our investors crazy, imagine how our competitors feel, right?
Exactly. Keep them on their toes. This is great. No, I think we've covered most of the stuff we needed to get updated on. Doug, is there anything we missed? Is there any key message you want to make sure everybody walks away with today?
Just that the company, I think from a high level, that the company is really added, in my opinion, a lot of shareholder value, even though you're not necessarily seeing in the stock price, not necessarily because of what the company's doing, but that's more so what the whole sector's done, in the tech sector. So Gatekeeper has been doing nothing but adding more and more counties to our customer base, and that's a wonderful thing. The market is moving towards wireless, which opens up all of those 47,000 mobile data collectors that we've invested wireless technology in, so that we can connect and then layer on the cloud-based applications, and that's going to drive our recurring revenue. So that's about it. Like, just hang in there and just be patient. I always consult investors that Gatekeeper is a company, if you can, just buy it and set it aside and let it grow, right? And so we'll see where we end up this year, and if some of these projects that we're working on, if they land, I think we're going to have a pretty happy shareholder base. And because the growth is certainly there in the sales funnel, and we've got the operations to handle the execution. So we shouldn't have to increase our operational costs too much as we layer on this potential revenue and profitability. And you can see that in the second quarter. Like I said earlier, we're able to handle a $4 million project, and if that 4 million was 10, it wouldn't have mattered. We still would have had the same operation cost. So that's the beauty of how we built Gatekeeper, for the most part, is that the operational cost does not go up by a factor that the revenue can go up by, right? So we're that's one of the reasons I'm really optimistic about how we can deliver numbers to the bottom line, which in today's market, it just seems that that's what investors are looking for. They're looking for profitable companies as opposed to just the top line growth.
Yeah, no, 100% agreement there. Well, this has been great, Doug. Thanks a lot. We always enjoy getting a chance to catch up. So this has been great. We've been speaking with Doug Dyment, CEO of Gatekeeper Systems. Symbol again is GSI on the Venture Exchange. Doug, look forward to the next time we can catch up. This has been great.
All right, Paul. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you
Take
soon.
care. You
All
bet.
right. Bye now.
Bye-bye.